Our guest tonight is Lucha Underground star Ivelisse. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. As one of the top stars on the Lucha Underground roster, you've built a hardcore following amongst wrestling fans already. How did you originally decide to sign with Lucha, and how has your life changed since making the jump?
Well, it all started, first, actually, it was, Conan who had brought to my attention, about Lucha Underground, and then after that, I was contacted by the producer, of Tough Enough, Eric, and that pretty much kind of solidified, this is legit for me, and, I wanted to look into it, and, looked into it. It made me feel pretty comfortable having familiar faces, asking me to come give it a shot and everything, with Conan and Eric, especially because I had a pretty good experience with, working with Eric and Tough Enough. So I took the leap of faith, and so far it's been one of the best things to happen to me. Not just on a professional level, but also on a personal level, because I actually have been treated very well while being there.
Mike Yuri, next question.
Well, this season on Lucha Underground, you've joined forces with Sami Callihan, known as Jeremiah, on the show. And while the two of you haven't had an official match together yet, it seems like there's definite chemistry, and your characters seem to mesh really well together already. What is it that allows the two of you to work so well together, and what can Lucha fans expect out of the two of you moving forward?
I think that the fact that truly it really ever since he came into the picture, it was truly fun to work with him. He's very talented, has a lot of character, and it transcended pretty quickly into our characters. I'm not necessarily 100% ecstatic of having to fulfill a girlfriend role per se, but nonetheless, it was very easy and fun to work with him. I think the reason our characters meshed pretty easily together is because he has a very intense persona, as his wrestling persona, and mine is pretty intense as well. So I think that clicked pretty quickly. Especially in the acting part in the scenes, like there were even moments that the film crew was like, whoa, that felt really real, and like, whoa, that was intense and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And I think also because we've been through a very similar trajectory with coming from the indies, and then having some experience with WWE and all that, like that also helped us click as well. But yeah, I think all of those elements together helped us click on the personal level and the character level for TV.
Brandon Gavin, next question.
Lucha Underground is our most anticipated show each week, and as someone who is actually part of the product and the major reason the show has been so successful, what do you think makes Lucha Underground such a special company?
The fact that they are not afraid at all to be different is one of the primary ones. They're not afraid at all to be different and to do things differently, and to try out things, see how they work, and instead of like a set formula on how to do things, and more importantly, I think their appreciation for the work that the talent and just also the crew, even down to the crew that puts everything together. Like there's a very big appreciation quality to everyone involved, and everyone and everything involved, and I think that makes it that much more special and that much easier to implode as a product.
All right, well, for some quote-unquote highly respected pundits, you can't see my air quotes, but it's all sarcasm, the intergender matches for Lucha Underground can detract from the product at times. That's what some pundits say. There's a two-part question for you. What do you say to those who question letting you square off against male competitors? And in the same vein, what advice would you offer to younger female wrestlers who have to hear the same criticism?
Well, this is the thing, though. It's like, the thing is that it's two completely different things, because WWE is a completely entirely different product from Lucha Underground, even though it's based on using the same sport for entertainment. The thing is that WWE is using wrestling as a form of entertainment, but through the realistic aspect of wrestling. That is what has for a very long time been used for wrestling. That's how it started. That's kind of like what I'm used to, what I prefer, to bring as much realism to wrestling, or to my wrestling performance, as much as possible. And that's just that is what WWE brings to has brought to the table and brings to the table. Now with Lucha Underground, they're doing something completely entirely different. They're doing something that is entertainment, using wrestling to entertain, but they're doing it in a completely different aspect. They're doing it in a more theatrical manner, which, when you watch movies and stuff like that, you see women fighting men all the time, whether it be a superhero or just a really skilled female fighter or whatever. And it's completely acceptable. It's something that has been going on for a very long time. And it's just two completely different ways on how to go about, the entertainment that you're watching. So neither is wrong, because again, it's entertainment. It's just two completely different ways. And again, those people who love, the theatrical sense of wrestling will obviously gravitate towards that, Lucha Underground feel, to where it's more superhero type thing, a movie like thing that you're watching. And the ones who still feel like that, the realistic part of wrestling is what they prefer, will obviously, won't really like that change, or will be hesitant towards that change and whatnot. And it's something good that the fact that Lucha Underground is just giving a different perspective on how to watch, how to watch the product of wrestling, and how it's presented. And my advice to younger females growing up is just, aspiring to, eventually the young aspiring female wrestlers that will eventually, be facing these problems, is to obviously have a good understanding of what it is, what the whole thing is, what it means, and just, have a neutral perspective of it, and just learn how to adapt, to your audience, because that's really all it comes down to.
Mike, your next question?
Well, it was announced at the beginning of Lucha Underground Season 3 that you would face Katrina at Ultima Lucha Trace after what she did to you at Ultima Lucha Dos. So what are the biggest challenges that come with building toward a match at a big event like that and keeping it relevant when it's announced that far in advance? And also, in the same vein, what are some of the advantages for you as a performer in that type of situation?
I guess one of the advantages is it definitely just makes it gives something to look forward to the audience, I guess, like right off the bat. There's many different ways that could go about to build up to something like that with with time in advance like that. But unfortunately, I broke my ankle again, and that was not able to happen. But the build-up aspect, but I did manage to come back to the culmination or whatever, or at least, a part of it, and you'll be able to see, come, as the season continues to progress. But, unfortunately, I wasn't even able to participate in that build-up leading to that.
BG?
You've been a part of some of the best matches in Lucha Underground. Is there a match or performance so far that you're most proud of or is most important to you?
I would say the one where I faced Mil Muertes. I think it was a pretty symbolic episode for not only myself, as a female performer in wrestling, being, the first female to challenge for a championship on Lucha Underground. But also for the company as well, very symbolic for the company as well, for what they stand for when it comes to females and how they're presented. So that match definitely means a lot to me.
And while you were still killing it in Lucha Underground, you were also the 2-time and current Shine champion. How have you been received by the independent wrestling fans following the success you have found thus far in Lucha?
I've been received very well because, for a very long time, I've been received very well because I am very, very dedicated at what I do, and I go out there to work and not to strut or anything like that. So, I've always had a pretty good standing. But Lucha Underground has definitely elevated that as well. Not necessarily just in the indie circuit, but like just in general. It's definitely elevated it for sure.
Mike Huey?
Well, your trios team with Son of Havoc and Angelico, it was the number one highlight for me in Lucha Underground Season 1 because of the comedic factor, because of the amazing matches that you guys had. What did you enjoy most about being part of that team? And what's maybe your level of interest in possibly reforming that team at some point down the line?
At some point down the line, I wouldn't mind reforming it, and because it was pretty fun for me. The whole on the character aspect and all that. I'm not necessarily a big fan of tag matches or whatnot, but all the character stuff that involved with being in the trios, specifically that one as well, was very fun. So again, I wouldn't mind, retouching that little time frame. It's the match that I had with them as well meant a lot because it was the first time I ever really endured a major injury, a handicap one where that means that I'm just not allowed to, just not capable of even getting in the ring or whatever. It was the first time ever, so it was a big point in my career in a very negative way, but it still was something very important. And the fact that even though I was that handicapped but still had it in me to go out there and still finish what I was supposed to do, that means a lot to me on a personal level and on a professional as well.
All right, BG, final question.
You mentioned your match with Mil Muertes, which was one of my favorite matches from Season 2. So what do you think you need to do on your end as a performer to ultimately win the Lucha Underground Championship?
Just honestly, not break any other limbs. I think I was on a pretty good roll coming into Lucha Underground once I was able to show who I am and what I'm capable of in the ring. But unfortunately, once that ankle break happened, completely derailed all my momentum. And then when I came back, sort of was starting to get back on track, and then unfortunately again, same thing happened. Yeah.
Well, a huge thank you to our guest, Ivelisse. Catch her every Wednesday on Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tell the fans where else they can support you.
You guys can catch me on Instagram at Ivelisse Velez or on Twitter at Real Ivelisse.
Another huge thanks. Good luck moving forward, Ivelisse.
Oh, thank you.